Good morning. It's a real pleasure for me to be here today at the 8th Infocom World Conference. I confess this is not the usual kind of audience that I find myself speaking in front of, but I hope that the theme of the conference, the leading path to innovation, is something that doesn't just inspire all of you entrepreneurs and from the private sector, but I hope amongst you there are folks from government, from civil society, and from the NGO community. This is because we need to recognize that these two aspects, the private and the public, are critical for us. On the one hand, private innovation can help private enterprises remain relevant in an ever more competitive global economy. But on the other hand, Albania's government structures, central and local, must integrate innovation if they are to achieve the step change in the quality of services that they need to make if they are to inspire the trust of the Albanian citizens. Albania needs both these sides, the public and the private, to work. The private sector will be the motor for jobs, of course. It will be the motor for growth in prosperity and to increase the wide variety of products and services that Albanian citizens, as European citizens, are looking for. But the private will only be successful if the public sector is equally innovative and doing a better job of regulating the market fairly with the rule of law. And here I appreciate the remarks of the Deputy Minister from Pristina, who emphasized the role that innovation and technology can play in transparency and in fighting corruption. The private sector will only be able to play its role if the public sector is doing its side, including through the provision of social services so that citizens are educated, they're healthy, and they're able to be productive in our global economy. Getting both of these parts right is key to the world's most successful countries, how you balance both sides and move them at the same time. In both cases, on both sides, using innovative methods offers opportunities to accelerate competitiveness and efficiency. When we talk about innovation, many people, of course, think immediately about information technology. They think about smartphones and big data, the gig economy, Airbnb, Uber. And info technology, of course, is central and has proven to be a powerful vehicle for innovation. But we need to be mindful of the fact that technological innovations by themselves are not equal to innovation, and that they do not always translate into social or economic development. What we, businesses and governments alike, need to seek are the applications of technology which make today's and tomorrow's citizens more able to receive better services and to improve their lives. We need to take into account the infrastructure that exists, and we heard both the Minister and Deputy Minister talk a lot about infrastructural development, but we need to be measuring whether or not these innovations are really making a difference to people's lives. Of course, I'm not talking just about companies and governments, but about development organizations like my own. Societies and technologies are changing so quickly that our standard approaches, yesterday's standard approaches of organizations like the United Nations are no longer good enough. They are too slow, they are too cumbersome, they are too expensive. And while some of our principles, like the respect of human rights across the board, or the need for inclusive and community-oriented processes, these are fundamental and we will not abandon them. The how we go about our work needs to change. UNDP acknowledges this fact and is encouraging experimentation across the board globally. Design thinking, innovation labs, hackathons, crowdsourcing and crowdfunding are just some of the tools that UNDP is beginning to employ globally, learning from people such as yourselves, social innovators, entrepreneurs, innovators from around the world. UNDP aims to draw partners from government, from civil society, especially youth, as was mentioned, into our experiments so that solutions are co-discovered with you and co-implemented. Here in Albania, UNDP has had the privilege of working with the government on territorial and administrative reform and on innovation with Minister Harito in service delivery. We're supporting the growth of one-stop shops for service delivery at municipal level. We're helping the Agency for the Delivery of Integrated Services, ADISA, as Minister Harito mentioned, become operational. I was just last week in Kruja, where the minister was inaugurating the most recent one. These centers, they benefit from modern technology, of course, but they're doing everything they can to keep the citizen at the center of the services. We will help the Innovation Lab reach out to and learn from successful practices in other countries. We have in the pipeline a feasibility study for broadband connectivity in all areas of Albania, including the remote and border areas, to make sure that there are minimum standards so that all citizens can benefit from innovations. Design thinking is another approach that we have been promoting widely, and it's one that takes end users of a service and puts them at the beginning of the process, engaging them in identifying the problems and the solutions so that they are co-creating both the solution and are in a good position to help implement. We're using these approaches with things like smart cities, child-friendly cities, preventing gender-based violence, promoting ecotourism, or even employment in rural areas. So some of these themes are our standard themes that are about people, about development work, but using innovative approaches. A year ago, we supported the municipality of Tirana in organizing the Tirana Smart City Conference, and some of the key concepts of citizen engagement, open data, and innovative financing mechanisms were all things that we were advocating. Civic engagement, particularly of young women and young men, is at the center of many of our activities. Less than 2 weeks ago, we did a weekend 48-hour hackathon that brought together young people in search of innovative solutions to address development challenges under the Sustainable Development Goals. I hope you all know what they are. They are 17 goals that were agreed to in 2015 by all the member states of the United Nations, all the nations on the planet. They're a 15-year time frame. They're very important. And this hackathon was looking at Sustainable Development Goal number 3, healthy lives, and number 4, which is looking at education. And this weekend, we'll be doing another one, bringing together a group of young people to look at innovative solutions to address the phenomena of family voting in the rural areas of Albania. So you can see that we're taking some of these practices from the private sector and trying to apply them to some of the very real challenges that are developmentally facing Albania. In fact, Agenda 2030, as we refer to these Sustainable Development Goals, the full range of them will not be able to be achieved if we can't figure out how to work with the private sector and undertake innovation. This is true whether we're talking about reducing inequality or building sustainable cities, improving accountable governance, or protecting the environment. At the UN, we are eager to build these new partnerships that can generate the small miracles that innovation can bring. And with government, private sector, social, innovative champions, entrepreneurs, all of you, we're looking forward to achieve the tagline of these new Sustainable Development Goals, which is to make sure that we leave no one behind. I wish you all the best in your conference. Thank you very much.